The Court of Public Opinion is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. I don't know how I'm going to label this topic because I would say that I've done a lot of homework after the last 24 hours trying to figure out how to lay this out, and I'm not quite sure. I would say surviving bad relationships or surviving life's ups and downs. I don't want to say life's ups and downs because ups and downs can mean a lot of different things. And I want to be careful. I have to keep it general, but I'll give you some examples of what I mean by that. Um, there have been some hard stuff that a lot of us have been through. Being stuck, without money to get to the store, or get gas, or just try to get somewhere. And as you get older, you're not aware of it, but you become dependent on certain people in your life. And that's a pattern a lot of people get caught up in. They get comfortable in a relationship or they get comfortable with certain people, and then they turn out and they turn around and get really, really hurt. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a healthy relationship and be in a good, healthy relationship with somebody that is good for you. I have to say, I took a class in a seminar about surviving a bad marriage, and I didn't recognize, but there was a list of things that you could find yourself in one of these categories. Could you have been in the relationship directly, like in the bad marriage, or could you have been in the bad marriage as a result of like your parents being married? You're just as much a part of that bad marriage, by the way, if your parents have been, that kind of experience. My experience has been surviving a bad marriage, surviving a bad home life. And I mean, it was because there are a lot of things wrong with what I went through growing up as a the daughter. Just inappropriate comments about my body, making comments about my weight. Those are, that's, no matter how much you are, no matter why, no matter what the reasons are, if you're related to somebody or you live with somebody, they have no business making comments about your body, and they have no business going there, okay? And that really upsets me that anybody would go there. And it's not a popularity contest at home, you know what I mean? And I don't know if any of you have people in your life that are popular, okay? And I grew up that way where status mattered. But it's insignificant if you're hurting people with your status, meaning you're too arrogant and making comments about somebody that is just, it's inappropriate and it's out of line. And a lot of those people, I don't even, if you're related to somebody like this, you don't want to be around them anyway. I don't want to be around somebody in the work office that's like that, much as be related to somebody like that. I don't have much else to say. And so people who are in a bad marriage have these experiences. They don't want to be around somebody that's consistently rude. Why would you want to stick around? I mean, it after a while it does real damage to somebody. So I was looking at this, what they call the environment of pain, and the best plan of action is being committed to a plan that's better for you. And some people just have to simply learn to take action and not be helpless. And that feeling of hopelessness is real for somebody who's been stuck there for a long time. You really have to identify how long are you going to stay here and stick around for more pain. And they call it the house of pain for a reason. And a lot of these changes have to happen right away. They're urgent changes. You just have to. You can't continue the way you've been going, and you may have let it go on long enough, and you've passed that threshold of pain long before it happened. And a lot of people end up living with real anxiety. They're terrified. They've been pushed around. They've been shoved. They've been made fun of. They've been bullied. This can happen in your home. A lot of people talk about being bullied at school. Sometimes the bullying started at home to begin with. And I personally know what it's like to be bullied. And, you can be picked on, and you have people that gang up at home. And I just have a real hard time with anyone ganging up with anyone. That's just my deal anyway. And the rolling your eyes, the disrespectful comments, those are things that go on in your family, and you have to decide at one point, are you going to tolerate this kind of behavior from people that have that type of attitude? And you have to decide at some point what you want and what you don't want. So there are aspects of that relationship that may keep you there. Financially, a lot of times people will keep people around because they know financially they need them. And you have to learn that that is why most people stay in relationships that are bad for them. They stay in it for a couple reasons. They stay in it financially. And they know really the consequences financially for the $30, $40 that you might, they might help you here and there. You're better off getting a career or getting a part-time job. You're going to save yourself a lot of unnecessary grief. But what if you're one of those people that has, some setbacks or handicaps, and do you just sit back and wait for somebody to rescue you? A lot of people live in silence. They don't know what to say. They just don't want to stick around for it, and they don't want to be around somebody who is just looking to pick a fight. And if you have a boss like this, or you have employees like this, and you feel like you're being picked on, it's time to change jobs eventually. In some cases, you may be preventing problems down the road. And you staying at that job or staying around somebody in the long run could be actually very damaging to you. So a lot of times, not that I say you pick the lesser of the two evils, but are you going to live in that house of pain, or are you going to go to that job of pain? I mean, some of this is really painful. People really have to live with people that are they're just downright not right for them. And I'm looking at some of the things that happen in the house of pain. This could happen, most of the time it happens at home. And if you had any of these things happen in your home, you live in the house of pain. Punch walls, criticism, crying, because you obviously are upset all the time, and they're not there to validate you at all. I mean, really, do you really expect somebody that's this way is going to help you or validate you? I mean, that's called wishful thinking. They make sexist remarks. They go into rages. They're jealous. They slam the door on you. Sabotaging your job, school, and other relationships. How many of you lost a lot of friendships because of the things certain people did to you? And it's uncalled for. It's over the top. Violence. Depriving somebody of the basic resources. Public humiliation. Forced tickling, inappropriate touching, and this is really violating your personal rights. Like I look at it this way: if they would treat other people the way they're treating you, okay, there might be something with their overall, how they deal with the public. But if they're just looking to target you, that's a problem. It doesn't matter if they try to have a good explanation. A good explanation does not justify violating somebody's personal rights, okay? And some people, you'll go to school, they'll look at you, they'll look at what you're wearing. Those people are not good for you, and you want to get away from them. There's something going on in their life or within them, and that's not up to you to figure out. You just have to walk away, and you need to stay away, okay? Because these negative relationships, down the road, what I find is bad, unhealthy patterns can be very dangerous down the road. So if you notice that there's some things that aren't right, maybe there's something going on in their life and it's not them. Maybe they're having a difficult time. I don't count that against somebody, but if you know that somebody's consistently nasty or rude to you, it's time to walk away. It's time to leave. It's time to just let them go. And there are a lot of offensive strategies that you can develop. It's like a roadmap to a new plan. And I'll put some information below for some of you who need a way out. There are a lot of trapdoors. I don't know that we recognize it. We wake up and I wasn't paying attention, but I had some situations at work where I was helpless. I mean, I needed a job. I didn't need somebody to be abusive to me at work. And I didn't always say anything. In fact, the girl at work told me, she goes, "Why do you put up with that?" And I honestly did not know I was putting up with it. until she finally pointed it out. And or I've had situations where I've had, a significant other say, well, why would you let what they think about you bother you? And I didn't really know how to answer that. I really didn't. I think that it's somewhere deep in the subconscious. I think that some of us have believed these negative thoughts for so long that we didn't even recognize we were doing it. Like in some cases, I was told that, you're so depressed and you're miserable and unhappy. Well, yeah, I think that's easy I think a lot of people are, if you're having a hard time, it's easy to diagnose somebody as depressed. I was there. I was there. I mean, I was in over my head and stuck. Not that I said it's changed dramatically, but my attitude towards it has. And I lost confidence I had no confidence in the people around me. It wasn't just about me. I was getting hurt and I didn't need to be. I was losing confidence because these people were devaluing me. And they were saying things to me that they wouldn't say. I highly doubt they would say those things or get away with what they got away with. And that is where it leads me to the second part of this. Do you let those people get away with those comments if they didn't do it to other people? And that is your indicator on the dashboard. If they say these kind of things to other people and they allow them to get away with it, you know that they're allowing people to just hurt them. But what if you can gauge it where they don't ask or make these kind of comments to other people around you, but they only talk to you? Are you going to allow them to do that? That's why I think a lot of us, we got to learn to get healthy enough to say, I will not allow you to talk to me that way. And you're going to have to be very direct. You can't not afford to be passive about it. There are people who sit back, and I was one of those people, and I thought if I just sat there and allowed them and I didn't say anything, I wouldn't upset it. It actually made it worse, not better. And what I have learned through this the last year is instead of being walked on, is that I had to clearly say no more. I mean, there's only so much I can give away of myself. I lost sleep over it. I wasn't eating right, and I was getting sicker, not better. And it all changed that one day. I just said, I was so in over my head in problems. I just got my shut-off notice, and I just came out of surgery. I didn't have anyone to help me. And all I was hearing from other people is that you're just depressed. Well, of course, I just got out of surgery, and I wasn't feeling very good. But what I was feeling is I was feeling helpless, and I didn't have a way out of this. And, it actually was a freak situation. I just knew I needed to get medicine, and I needed to get some rest. And in the interim, every time I was sick or not guarded or had my guard down, I had some really, what I thought was nice people get ugly and roll their eyes at me. And I have to tell you, unless I actually confronted them and said, I'm not tolerating your rude behavior. You wouldn't do that to anybody else, and I'm not going to tolerate it either. And I didn't have to be angry at them, but I'm not tolerating this behavior. And while it may not change the relationship, I don't think those people change. What it helped me recognize is that I do not have to sit here and be helpless. I have a voice, I have a mind of my own, and I need to start taking care of myself. And by taking care of myself means drawing the line. I can no longer have this person around me because of the way they talk to me. It's over. It doesn't have to be this way. And I know there's a lot of people in our life that are not helpful to us. But what if those people in your life that are, and you're just in a bad time in your life, you know what? If they're your friend, they'll be there for you down the road, okay? Or at least make sure or write them a letter saying, I want to keep a relationship with you. I need some time alone. A lot of times what ends up happening is people in your life, they're just going through a difficult time and they just need time to figure out their life. Do you know what? There are a lot of people, that's including all of us. Sometimes maybe there are decisions you have to make. You're just not ready to make them. But that time alone, your friends will be there for you. If they care about you and love you, they're not going to hold it against you. And I know that. Even some of the closest people in my life, that would include a boyfriend, maybe they have to sort some things out in their life. Maybe they're going through some struggles. You know, I'm not here to argue whether or not they need time alone. They know what they need, okay? And sometimes they don't know how to identify it. I notice with guys, men, they don't always, they feel bad, and it's mainly because they just need to be guys and go, rest up or get into their hobby. Sometimes a hobby is a way of, preoccupying your mind in a healthy way. So there are things that we can do that keep us healthy. Are we broken by those relationships? Yeah, it takes time to heal. If you've had years of problems with certain people, you're going to have to allow yourself time to grieve. You know that those relationships are already over. A lot of relationships haven't even had a chance to, you haven't really had any good memories with them. So, at some point you're going to have to decide that you're going to have to end those relationships, or you're going to have to grieve that relationship. It took me a long time. I didn't want to say goodbye to a lot of the people in my life. I loved them. It wasn't a question of me loving them. It was a question they didn't care about me the same. And that doesn't make me insignificant. That doesn't make me less of a person. What it means is that they weren't right for me, and I wasn't right for them. Or maybe that was bad timing. There are a lot of reasons. I would not hang every situation based on what I'm saying. I'm just saying there are different reasons for why certain people don't get along. And what I found is anytime somebody threw me under the bus one or two times, that relationship's already over. I had to end a lot of good relationships, not because we didn't have a good history, but because just because you had a good history with somebody doesn't mean that relationships don't go bad. And I wasn't aware of why it happened. I just knew I'm a different person. In fact, they told me, "You've changed." I said, "Yeah, I'm 46 years old. The last time they saw me, I was 18. I mean, I'm a much older woman. I've been through a divorce, and and I outgrew a lot of the old things in the past. So I had no choice, though. I think what a lot of people say is you don't really have a choice. You have to just go on. Okay? There are some things that are just out of your control. There is nothing I can do. If I throw everything I have into this, and I mean every time I've done it, it's always blew up in my face. It's no fault of, it's just you get into a bad pattern. But every time I ever throw everything I have into it, and I'm empty and tired and miserable and unhappy, it's not because of what that person did. There's something in my life, an unhealthy pattern, a behavior that I have to deal with, So just as I look at some people that they need that time alone, all of us do. All of us need to sort it out. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people identify us and they put us in the wrong category, meaning we're very misunderstood. And that's okay, because you know what? I noticed this with a lot of my friends and I love them, but they feel the need to be protecting others, and that's not their responsibility. A lot of times, in defense of people talking about others, if you're around people that are healthy for you, you're not going to let them continue to hurt you. And a lot of times, there are situations that you didn't even allow. You walked in on it, and it could be a bad pattern or a bad season of your life. And the only way is those doors are going to probably most likely shut, and they sometimes need to stay shut. I mean, for survival, because you can't do anything about what happened in the past. You just have to go forward, and I hope that all of us have an opportunity to walk away from those types of people that are. It's not just that they're not good for you; you're not good for them. And a lot of times, if you can agree that you're not good for each other at this time, it'll be a lot easier to pave a different path ahead of you.